And in the classic Common Farm Flowers YouTube video way, you are leaning against the little box, and I just want to show you something, and that my head is going to be cut off. But anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. I thought I'd show you how I wrap up without sellotape. I have an obsession about single-use plastic, and so what I do is, for a start, I wrap in brown paper, because all the brown paper can be used again through the year, and if there's no tape on the brown paper, then it doesn't get ripped when you fold it. It is not a fancy pants way of wrapping, but look, there we have a box wrap. And then I take ribbon, and this is grosgrain ribbon, and in order to make sure that I don't overcut, I leave it on the reel. I take a length and I roll it over and round the package so that I can, and I've got, still the ribbon is still attached, so I can literally do this. I can then tie a knot and a very small bow, because I've done it for you, so naturally it hasn't worked. Actually, it has a bit. And there you have a package with no tape. So the paper is all usable again, and so is the ribbon. And I like to write a card on a craft label. No, they're not especially Christmassy, but they do the job. And then all of that packaging can be used again throughout the year. And here I am, no hairbrush, in my pyjamas. But you've got to do these things while your family is still asleep. Right, should we go and have a look at the rest of the Christmas decorations? I thought you might like to see how we do Christmas here at Common Farm. Yes, we do have a big wrapping station, because it's a big family with many godchildren and everybody needs presents. Well, here we are. The fire is lit. The candles are lit. It is the solstice. And like many people, we have a large family and many friends. So we're having a few people in tonight to start the Christmas celebrations with a little warmth and friendliness. And I'm just in the process of laying the table, so I thought I'd film now because the light outside is really lovely. And later on I'll be madly cooking and things, but I have put on my pearls for Christmas. So we're revving up. I haven't got my Christmas apron on yet, still in the business apron. So what have we got? Well, I quite like to keep Christmas intimate, squishy, close together, because that's all about, for us, that's, you know, it's all about bringing everybody together. We do therefore have an enormous Christmas tree that takes up most of the space. And sometimes people are very smart with their Christmas trees and everything's quite matchy-matchy, which I admire enormously. However, it can sometimes look a little bit like you're in a hotel or even a department store. Obviously not always. So we go the full vulgar with our Christmas tree. It is covered from head to foot with things that the children have made over the years, family heirlooms, random selection of pairs of shoes, the christening shoes, I'll show you in a minute. The first shoes that my children wore, an antique leather shoe that Fabrizio picked up somewhere at a market and is very fond of. Anyway, let's have a closer look. Obviously, over here on my right, we have our little town of Bethlehem, and I'm going to introduce you to that. And it's all looking quite cosy. Come on, I'll take you around. The present pile is growing, but you know, I kind of tend to go a real bundle on Christmas, but not so big on the birthdays, partly because it's easy to remember, but don't tell everybody else that. My favourite Christmas decorations, well, my favourite of all is, look, the little Holy Family in a walnut shell. If the house was burning down, I might grab that. But of course we have a dove for peace and goodwill to all men and women. This year the angel is at the top because my daughter put the Christmas tree up and she made the angel. If my son had helped, then the star might have made it to the top, but at the moment the angel's winning this year. On the subject of shoes, these were my Fabrizio's school shoe, first pair of school shoes when he was a tiny little fella. And so on the christening shoes around the back. But yes, this is the opposite of a matchy Christmas tree. But I come down in the morning and I turn on the lights when it's still dark and I commune with it because I love it so much. Okay. Now the Christmas table, again, not very matchy, but I'm a big fan of randomly collected bits of china. I like blue and white. These plates came from a vendange, a brocante, in Le Puy-en-Velay in France many years ago. The napkins were my grandmother's. I like to put a lot of glassware on the table because it catches the light. You can see it's catching the light really nicely. So everybody, even the children, has a saucer for champagne. Of course, they're not all going to have champagne, but they can have a sparkly something in their glasses and it just looks really nice. So that's for the champagne, that's for wine, and that's for water, very small for water. 8-hour tea lights, lit. Do be careful that you don't have any flammable material over the top of any candles. It's really important not to leave lit candles when you're not there. The very last of the Christmas flowers we have finished for the season, and these are some little leftover tanacetum, which I've put with a sprig of Monterey pine and some variegated holly. Bowls of tangerines, because we always have bowls of tangerines for Christmas. And my knives and forks don't all match, but I have buffed them up a little bit so that they look shiny. Everybody has a cracker because I love a cracker. A silly joke is a great thing. I haven't put the chairs on the tables yet, but it's a simple, cosy, friendly setup, I hope. And the tall candles, which again, I haven't lit yet, what they do, we've got quite a high ceiling in here, and the tall candles bring the ceiling down a little bit so that we don't feel as if it's too village hall-y. Now, here we have our little town of Bethlehem, and it is very, very beautifully made, mostly by Fabrizio. There are 3 ships, one at the top and one at the bottom right, and one here, this one. This one is in fact a treasure ship. You can open it up and put things in it. It actually belongs to my son and was given him by Fabrizio, who made it. Fabrizio also made the pub, and the pub is called the Queen's Head and was made last winter. Obviously now it's called the Old Queen's Head, typically. This year Fabrizio made the shop, and it's, as you can see, it's completely bare because everybody has bought everything. There's nothing left to buy. Little political statement, we've got to be careful up here. Obviously church, very important, up at the top, and the bank next door to the church. And you can make of what you will of that relationship. But, you know, in old villages in the countryside, often it was the wealthy families who built the churches, and the wise owls between think about all of these things. And then we move down, we've got the grander angels are higher up because they're grand. But actually, the thing is, the story goes that there was no room for Mary and Joseph at the inn. And anyway, in our inn, they're having a lock-in and dancing the night away. And so the baby Jesus was born in a stable. And here is the stable made by the children when they were very little, with the smallest and least showy-offy of all the decorations in the whole place. A tiny little creche, and the angels here are less grand than the angels up the top. These lovely angels came from Nepal, and my dear mum brought them back from a trip to Kathmandu many years ago, and they are angels playing instruments, and I love them. So all of these things are treasures. The treasure houses, Fabrizio made them all the roofs come off them, these ones, and they are for putting treasures in, and they actually during the year belong in people's bedrooms, but for Christmas they come down and become part of Bethlehem. Fabrizio calls it Dummerton, which would be a good name for a town in England, but I really think it is O Little Town of Bethlehem. And look, of course, Bethlehem has its own forest, many trees, and so on, some made by the children. But it also has a very tall amaryllis. And will we have it for Christmas? Well, there's a big question. I love this place. I love this. I turn the lights on. It takes about half an hour to turn the lights on in the morning. And then I sit and admire it and the tree. So we're all a bit squashed in here. I need to bring the chairs in for people to sit down and eat this evening. But it's very cosy and warm, and hopefully Granny will like it. So thank you very much for watching, everybody, and thank you for a fantastic year on YouTube. We now have over 13,000 subscribers, which is something I really wasn't expecting. And we are even inspired to put together a plan for a club, so watch out for that in the new year. And meanwhile, I wish you all a very, very calm and peaceful break. Let's light a candle and be relieved that soon we will notice lighter mornings and longer evenings. Let's plan all sorts of fun things to grow for next year. And I hope you all see your friends and families and have a lovely, lovely break. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I've ever given you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee. The link to buying coffees is in the blurbs to all my clips. Happy Christmas, everybody. See you soon. I've just had a chat with Fabrizio and he has explained that I got it all wrong. This town is called Dummerton, and it is the county town of a tiny little county called Somersetshire, which is to be found in a tiny corner between Somerset, Dorset and Wiltshire. Mea culpa. Now you know.